All right. So how do you find an agent, and then how do you apply for representation once you do?
Yeah, so in America, we've got the Screen Actors Guild and AFTRA. It's in the USA, and Equity in the UK, and also ACTRA in Canada are the major unions. And each one of these will have a list of franchised or registered agencies on their websites.
Yeah, in Actros is actually in Canada. Actro only has lists for Toronto, Montreal, and Calgary, actually all of Alberta, and for every other city, for every other province, they have lists in different places. So you might need to look to find them. For example, in BC, the list of agents is actually on the government website, and I'm not sure about the other provinces because I haven't worked in them yet.
The three major ways that they try to find you is based on referrals from other people that they work with, people they sought out. So they'll might look for established actors, or basically they'll steal them from other agencies, and then they might even try discovering them, like at maybe talent showcases or through student films or other completed works that they might find.
Yeah, so once you've got a list of agents who might want to apply to you, you need to put together a package that you apply with. You essentially have to send them a headshot, a resume, and a cover letter. You can also include other promotional materials. In fact, you should include as many as you have. Like, for example, a reel is really useful, especially now because it'll give your agent, your potential agent, an idea what it is you can do, and references are also very useful.
Yeah, if you need contacts, like if you don't know anybody, you can find that by attending things like workshops or classes or even going to acting schools, and even speaking to the instructors at any one of these, you can use them as references. And the instructors themselves, if they're any good, might have their own agencies or involvements with other agencies they work with.
Yeah. So there are some agencies that specialize in certain industries. Like, for example, there are agencies that only submit you to film and TV. Some only do theater, some only do radio, some only voiceover. And then there are some that work in multiple fields. So a combination of these or all of them. So first you need to decide what kind of acting it is you want to do, what format you want to be working in, and then look for representation accordingly. You have two options here. You can either find an agent that will cover everything you want to apply to, or you can find an agent you can have multiple agents, one for each field, or a combination thereof. But if you do have multiple agents, you need to keep in mind that they have to know about each other, and you have to be able to communicate with them effectively so they know what your schedules are in case something comes up.
Yeah, and then other things to keep in mind is like you can use resources, like we mentioned at the top of this. You can search the internet for information about each potential agent, and you can make lists of any possible candidates. You can ask your contacts from one of these workshops or your coaches if they know anybody who has worked with any of the agencies on your list, and you can basically just network, because it's all that this is about, networking. So you'll network with your fellow actors and castmates and see if they'd be willing to pass on your headshots to any of the agencies that they're with. And then basically with that you'll want to do you'll follow up. Keep in mind that some agencies, it's a timing issue. Some agencies might not be accepting submissions all the time. So you want to make sure in your follow-up process and as part of your research, you want to make sure that you check the agent's websites and contact them and make sure that they're accepting applications at the moment that you're applying. That'll help cut down the amount of wasted things that you send out, materials you send out that will just get thrown away.
Yeah, and agencies vary a lot, but they vary in size a lot too. You can have like large agencies that'll have 3 or more agents in a very large roster. You can also have like boutique agencies, which are usually just one agent with a small roster. There are also exclusive agencies, which only deal with specific agents. Like Rocco said before, they'll seek you out and they'll try to represent a small group of maybe 10 agents or so, or even less. And that'll affect you differently. For example, if you're in a large agency, you might only be a small part of their business. But if they're very well known, if they have a lot of really good agents, this might not be a bad thing, because they could probably get you more work. Also, if you have in a smaller agency, they might spend more time with you and help you shape your career a little better and be more in touch and more personable than a bigger agency. but also at the same time they might have fewer contacts. It might not get you as much work. The best way is to kind of get an idea of how well connected your agents are is to look at their roster. Usually their websites will have headshots and lists of all the actors on their roster, and then you can look at them and see what kind of work they're getting, see what look they're into. If you find that there's an agency that doesn't have the kind of look that you have, then maybe applying to them would be a good idea, because as being part of their roster, they'll have someone to submit to these parts that they don't have anyone to submit to before, so that could help you out. Also, if they have a lot of people that fit your look, it could also work against you, because you'll just end up getting lost in the crowd.
Yeah, and if they have a lot of famous people at working for them too, or established names, or sometimes the amount of time that they'll have is to dedicate to you. If you're like, even if you're lucky enough to be filling a spot that's unique for their roster, if they have a lot of clients, they might not have the time necessary to dedicate to you.
And they should only get paid if you get paid, basically. They take a percentage of what you work. Usually it's 10 to 15, right? Like most of them are asking for 15 nowadays. In some cities they might ask you for administration fees. Some of them can be as high as like $10 a month. And you need to basically decide whether it's worth it for you or not. If you're just starting out, you're not making much work, these admin fees are probably a bad idea, because they'll take too much money whenever you do get paid. But if you're getting a lot of work, then it might be just like a small insignificant amount of what you're making, and it might be worth it. So once you get a meeting, you might need to audition at the agent's office. Not all agents do this, but some of them will want to see what you can do live. So if you have a couple monologues ready to go, that'd be really good. Although as an actor, you should always have at least 2 monologues ready to go.
Yeah.
They want to be able to imagine you in all sort of roles, right? They want to know what your personality is. They want to know what your range is, how you interact with people, that kind of thing. They may give you feedback on what you look like, what you're trying to look like, what kind of what your promotional materials are like, and sometimes it could be harsh feedback, but just take it, and try to learn from what.
Use it as constructive criticism.
Yeah. And if an agent is not willing to represent you, or they're not the kind of person you're looking for, you don't fit well together, then just move on. There's plenty of other ones you can apply to later, or you just shouldn't take it personally,
because it's like I said, if you use at least try to get some good out of it, use it as constructive criticism, because this type of thing of hearing bad news or hearing things you don't want to do, you got to develop a thicker skin in this industry and not take things personally, but find a way to try to get the some good out of it. Consider it. Then, because that happens all the time in the industry, we're always going to have rejection, and dealing with rejection is just part of this the industry as a whole. And just remember, it's never a personal attack. It's just an indication. If an agent tells you these type of things, it's just an indication that you're not what they're looking for at this particular time. But that doesn't mean that in the future you might not be a better fit. So you just have to be careful in how you react, and don't burn any bridges, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And you should remember that if they offered to meet you, it's because they thought they could represent you. So they were already rooting for you when you got in the room, right? And the same thing applies to auditions. You get an audition because they already think you can do the role. They just want to see if you're the right person or not. So usually people are always on your side. But anyway, moving on. Once you get a meeting, some agents will want to meet you personally and have just like a one-on-one conversation where they decide to do things. And some agents will actually meet actors in groups, and then they'll kind of explain to them how things go. And some agents might either decide they want to book you right away, and some agents might give you a chance, like especially the agents that see people in groups, just give them a chance, represent them for a very short time.
Your trial period.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in that trial period, what they'll do is they'll submit them to casting directors and let the casting directors decide what you can do, or let them test you, essentially. Now, when you're meeting an agent, you shouldn't just sit there and let them ask all the questions. You're testing them as well, right? You're auditioning them as well, because they'll be an important part of your career. So you need to find out stuff about them. You need to ask them questions, and if you have any concerns, don't be afraid to voice them, because you'll be in a business relationship with this person, and you'll both benefit from better communication and understanding of what it is you bring to the table. Right?
Yeah, that's the golden rule with yourself and your agent or who's representing you. You got to be in constant communication, and you always got to be doing things to improve your career and working together. So you both got to keep each other informed on what you're doing independently, so that either side can use the benefit of what you're doing individually to just capitalize on that and take it forward and improve your career.
Yeah, as a final thing, we've got a few sample questions you might want to ask an agent. So first thing, we want to ask them, what kind of roles would you be submitted to in the first 6 months, or could be submitted to in the first 6 months? You want to find out how they would market you, what they think about your look, what they feel your type is, what kind of things you would be a better fit for, right?
Yeah. Other thing you want to keep in mind is you want to know information about the agent in your working together. So you want to know how long they've been in business, how long they've been working, what kind of relationships do they have with the other actors on their rosters. So that could be an indication of how the relationship will be with you. And then you want to see what they will do outside of just submitting you for headshots or whatever. What other things they'll do to promote your career locally, where you're at now, and and anywhere else, like locally, and then outside of that.
Yeah, and of course where they get their motivation from, how long they've been working, how they feel about the industry, which of course they'll want to know about you as well.
Which is all the relationship between you and the agent. So you have to have, even if they're not an important agent or a super big agent, it's more important to have a good working relationship with that agent and going forward.
But anyway, once you've chosen an agent, once you've met with a few of them, and you've picked one, you're gonna get into putting together a contract.
Yeah.
And you need to make sure you get copies of everything. They'll probably give you copies of everything, but you need to make sure you take all the contracts and all the agreements and you read them all and be sure you understand everything. And don't be afraid to ask any questions, because they want to make sure that you understand the agreement as well as they do.
Yeah.
Because that'll help you all in the long run to know what your responsibilities are as a member of the agreement.
Yeah, so again, be sure to get everything in writing so that you know exactly what both parties should expect from each other, and always read any contracts that are presented to you before signing anything. When they present something to you, because there's all these different documents and permits and stuff like that, they all present different terms and conditions. So you got to read everything, make sure you understand anything, ask the questions to your agents if you don't understand anything, because before signing or agreeing, you should be sure you understand fully the terms and conditions.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's about it for now. If you've got any questions or any concerns, and you want some clarification on anything that we mentioned, feel free to contact us at onacting101@gmail.com, or you can send us a private message here on YouTube, or just leave it in the comments. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching.
Thanks.